Hello, guys. Welcome to today's live. We have some big news. Obviously, it's Monday. It's the start of the week, which means we have a lot more catalysts to look forward to. Everything from earnings calls, which we wouldn't necessarily expect, then into what do we think is going to happen with crypto.com? Are we worried? And what's our game plan? AJ, how are you feeling today, mate?
Yeah, feeling good. Got a bit of a cold, but yeah, we move, and the markets, as I expected, have been very boring over the weekends. That is to be expected. I remember about a year
Mhm.
ago, we could actually get big moves on the weekends, but we're not seeing that anymore as sort of the institutions are coming in. We're not seeing those big moves at all. The price just sort of turns into a stable coin, really. But yeah, we've had a bit of movement this morning, and yeah, I want to update you with what's going on the charts. But yeah, I know you've got some things to talk about first, Ben.
Yes, and also we have to visit your trade, AJ. I want to visit your trade
Yes,
because
yeah,
it's a belter.
yeah,
Just quickly
of
before we
course.
get going, though, guys, hello to everybody who is watching. Thank you for joining. Always a pleasure. I'm going to jump in, and we're going to start with what has happened last week. We did see, and I know this kind of massive fall of everybody selling, etc., kind of brought this price of Bitcoin down towards those 15K ish region. I think we're currently sitting. Where are we now, AJ? Do you know? It's like 16 something.
$16,650.
650. There you go. So that's where we're currently at, and I think a lot of last week, although we were seeing these big downward spikes, we did see, as you can see here, this is institutional buying data. We have a little bit of retail buying data coming up, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But we're looking at Bitcoin, nearly 20 mil flowing in, multi-asset 9 million or so, 2.5 for Ethereum, short Bitcoin. So as people are still covering their short or covering their long positions when they're investing in these different assets. Because, guys, if you consider what a hedge fund is, they hedge their investments. So pretty much whatever way it happens, they kind of have some kind of success. So we will obviously see, as more people short, more people be buying in the institutional world. But overall, it's been quite a positive week. This makes me feel pretty good that we are having this buy the dip mentality from institutions. Now I'm just going to quickly shift on over to what can we look forward to for the rest of the week. So we're starting here. There's not really any news today, guys, at all. So tomorrow we've got employment from the UK. We have GDP and the ZEW economic index from the Euro and Germany. PPI not really going to affect us too much. And then again, we have more UK data in the form of inflation. And then we go into Euro inflation. And then that's pretty much it, really. There's nothing massive for the US. So this does indicate to me that we might see a weaker euro, a weaker pound, and we might then see more people moving money into the US dollar, only because there's that uncertainty. I think as these bits of data continue to come through, I believe Rishi Sunak is also speaking today, and he's discussing what's his plan? What is he going to be doing over the next few months? He's going to be raising taxes, obviously, on the rich, pretty much undoing everything that crazy woman came in and did to make sure that she tanked all of the UK market. So this is going to be slightly beneficial, but obviously the Eurozone, if there is uncertainty, people will be moving into the dollar because the dollar's had a bit of a hard time, hasn't it, AJ?
It has, yeah. We broke a
It
major
has, yeah.
support on the DXY, and we are getting that pullback. Yeah, I did give a target of around $105 for that DXY. We came pretty close to that, and there's still a possibility we could come down to that target. But yeah, the DXY is having a pullback, which initially is supposed to be good for Bitcoin, but we have sort of seen we've seen the DXY and Bitcoin sort of decouple because they are inversely correlated, but right now they're not really inversely correlated at all because Bitcoin's been pulling back, but so has the DXY. And Bitcoin's had a little push towards the upside this morning, and so has the DXY as well. So right now they're sort of correlated.
Yeah, I mean, maybe our whole life has been a lie. Everything that we've said over the past 6 months, where we've told you they're inversely correlated, it's not true anymore. I'm sorry. It was true at the time, though.
It
But
was,
just
yeah.
sticking with the story in the US here, we are at the final week of earnings season. I believe it's the final week. It might be one next week, whatever. But 91% of companies have already reported their earnings for this period. And so we are coming towards the end now. This is really where I'm quite interested. And I know you guys are going to be like, oh, it's a crypto channel. What are you doing? But the reason why I'm interested is because we obviously have to keep an eye on Jerome Powell. Okay. He is obviously the big honcho, he's the big mover. And so what he's going to be watching, I believe anyway, is that he's going to be looking at the likes of Walmart. He's going to be looking at the likes of the Home Depot and a few other companies in here. Sonos, I believe, potentially Target, maybe Macy's, and these type of companies. The reason why I want to follow these, because I think he's going to also follow them, is that he's going to be looking at, okay, what is, instead of just the the data that they get from the actual government putting out surveys and stuff like this, with Walmart, where it's aimed at like the lower income housing, how many sales are they making? Where are they making these sales? Are they making money in just food? Or are they making money in discretionary purposes? So the Home Depot, for example, obviously you go there and you buy stuff to do up your home. I think I've got it down here somewhere. Yeah, 90% of their customers are home owners. Now, if nobody goes to renovate their home or anything like this, and they're not buying any fancy stuff because they want to sell it, it'll tell us a story. So these are the type of companies that I'm going to be looking out for this week, just to get an idea about the overall consumer sentiment and whether the consumer is spending a lot. And if they are, then that means the Fed's going to have to be more tight for longer, because they essentially want Walmart, Home Depot, and all these types of companies to have no income, because they don't want people going out spending money. They want everyone to be poor. So a good indication of being poor is spending no money in these types of shops that the lower income families do go to. So that's why it's going to be quite interesting for me. I can just report back a summary because I know you guys are probably not going to want to see it. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. Now, I want to bring up the FTX story. We all know it's an absolute disaster. I mean, like, AJ, if you could describe the FTX scenario in a word, what would you do?
I think there's too many words that I could use,
Are
but
they all swear words?
a disaster,
Yeah,
disaster.
yeah. No, it has been a disaster. So it's been one of these. It's kind of shrouded in potential scams. It's been shrouded in maybe the CTO has been doing something dirty. I do actually want to mention this. So Gary Wang, the CTO of FTX, he had the most GitHub contributions yesterday, and notice that I believe this was the day before the hack. So he was super active. And all of his activity led to theories. They haven't been proven, and I'm not going to say that they are. Gary, you could be innocent, but people don't think so. So people are thinking that, in fact, he partially engineered, or at least was complicit in the hack, which resulted in 662 million being hacked. Another kind of aspect to the story which came out recently was that Brad Sherman, a congressman, claims FTX deterred legislation with money. And so apparently he was basically funding this, Sam Bankman-Fried was funding the anti-crypto guys, despite at the same time trying to make himself look good in court by saying, hey, everybody should be, actively putting legislation into this space. Everyone should be, working towards being regulatory, which, as we know, he wasn't. Just a little extra on here. Extreme fear hits cryptos. FTX hack makes a bad situation worse, as we know. Now, I want to mention crypto.com. AJ, you and I were just speaking offline that you were actually considering taking out a crypto.com, bank card. Do any of you in the comments have the bank card where I think you have to, you stake a certain amount of crypto, of CRO, their coin, and then you get better rewards on those.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
something like that. And it's really handy because you don't have to withdraw your crypto into your bank account to be able to spend it. And that's sort of why I was
yeah.
looking into it. Maybe, it would have been cheaper on the fees side of things. But yeah, I'm sort of happy I didn't go down that route.
Yes, I know. And so, yes, I have the icy white. Works like a dream. This is good. This is good feedback. I like this. I've had it
Yeah.
since it was MCO instead of CRO. Okay, that's cool. Are you guys
Interesting.
worried?
Yeah.
Are you guys worried? That's my question, really. Like, I don't know. Have you noticed anything internally? I'm gonna just drop through a couple of these headlines, shall we say? Crypto.com
Yeah.
CEO says withdrawals will continue to work. He's obviously, you're not going to go against your own company, are you? But he repeated that the company has less than 10 million in exposure to FTX and a very strong balance sheet. Another headline that we're seeing is that they recovered 400 million after misplaced Ether transfer. Now, I believe they sent it to, I want to say
The one.
there's so many bits in this industry, isn't there? I mean, I think it says it somewhere else. Was it here? No, okay. Anyway, so they basically sent a transfer of 600 mil somewhere or something like this, and then they got back 200 mil. But they've said, no, everything's fine, everything's fine. But just notice how like money, I don't know if it's only because it's being mentioned in the news now, but so many big like transfers are being made by these exchanges, and I think this is part of the thing that's fueling this skepticism as to whether they are actually solid, or are they just being frantically fraying around trying to move money so that they look good on the surface. Because it's kind of exactly what happened with FTX. But anyway, so yeah, CRO is in trouble, but a 50% price rebound is in play. Notice how short CRO traders were paying as much as 3% premium. That's absolutely crazy. And again, there is the latest, crypto.com becomes the latest bank run victim. But CEO says it's business as usual. I do want to mention a lot of people will know and follow that Martini guy. And he mentioned my crypto.com withdrawal of 2 Bitcoin has been pending for 24 hours. This is not normal and is
That's
suggesting they are bankrupt.
that's not normal at all. With
No.
withdrawing Bitcoin, it takes a maximum of 10 minutes, and even 10 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It does. It really doesn't take that long. And as you can see, some people are kind of coming to the defense. Some people are, being like, okay, yes, I agree. But yeah, so I withdrew 10K and it took 24 hours. This does not look okay. And so, is this a massive issue? I don't know. I think realistically, and I said this before, remember when the whole FTX thing started, I said we are going to see more exchanges get hurt. Whether
Yeah.
crypto.com is too big to fail, I think is something that we can't say anymore, because FTX was too big to fail. Or at least,
Mhm.
the Lehman Brothers, they were also too big to fail. So I don't know whether, that is something that concerns you. I mean, as users, I'm just going to bring us back to the chat. As users, are you in fact worried? Let me have a look. What are the
The
comments
dad
there,
Dan
AJ?
said he took out point zero 0.06 yesterday, no problem.
Oh yeah, took out 0 point. Okay, no
So
problem.
so
So
so maybe it's the larger transactions that are, well, from what we can see here, the larger transactions are having those issues. Um,
yeah, it could be. I mean, I just, this is, maybe I'm being too skeptical, because I hate it when people get caught out and they lose loads of money, and I
yeah,
obviously, it's one of those things where it's like people say it about Russia, like don't believe anything until Russia denies it, or that's like popular in the news. But very similarly, in the crypto world, everyone's going to, of course, the CEOs say it's absolutely fine. Sam Bankman-Fried
yeah,
said that on the 6th, didn't he? And then on the 7th, everything went tits up.
yeah, and
So,
then
so it didn't really work out well.
and to talk about sort of exchanges that are built based off of their token. Tony Vage said this 2 years ago, and I've got something that he posted a few days ago. When did he post this? Actually, the 8th of November, he posted this,
Oh,
and
just bring it
this
up.
was from June the 26th, 2021, and he was saying how any exchange that is built off the back of their token and needs their token to fund the exchange is highly unlikely to survive. He does mention, I don't know if he mentions it in this here, but he did mention it somewhere else, that that does exclude Binance. He does think that Binance have done it very cleverly, and they've been very smart about it, so he doesn't think that Binance will fail. But I don't know. I'll just play this. I know I tried to play it a few days ago. Sorry, but it didn't want to work for some reason. The sound didn't want to work. But I'll play it and see if everyone can hear it.
Let us know in the comments if you do get this voice through.
Yeah.
Guys, we
Go full
don't have
screen.
a problem with technology. Like, we don't have a problem with innovation. What we have a problem is the creation of your own money to fund that innovation. And I'm not saying Jeremy got rich off the token. I'm just saying the token was needed to fund the development. Maybe not in the first month, not in the second month, but that token is needed to continue to fund development. Like, it's not like you can create all kinds of technology you want, and the government will probably leave you alone if you're not printing your own money or you're not breaking security laws, right? But everyone needs to break those security laws, and everyone needs to print money because they cannot build what they want to build without the money. And it's harder to put that money together unless you print it.
No, he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I completely get that because, like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing I think where with Binance, yes, they have their own coin, but Binance, in terms of trading volume, it has more trading volume. I saw this as a quote, guys. It could be wrong, right? Update me if I am wrong. But I saw that it had more trading volume than the next, I want to say 4 or 5 exchanges combined. And now we all know exchanges make money on Binance. Oh, sorry. Why you showed me a picture of Binance? I said Binance. They all make money on the volume, so on the fees. Every time there's a trade, obviously they make a small cut, and so that's how they make money. And so I think the less volume that you have on your exchange, i.e., the smaller the exchange, you then end up with less money, and so you have to use your native token a lot more. And that is pretty much printing free money, just like the US government, but the government gets, the US governments get paid a lot more than just a typical exchange would. And I think that's how obviously the Fed keeps going and can print money like it, whatever it wants, because everything is paid for in dollars. That's not the same for crypto exchanges.
Yeah, definitely. And to add on to that with Binance as well, just looking at this this tweet here as well, the most popular crypto exchanges in European countries, as you can see, Binance is sort of filling up the screen there.
Yeah, there is nothing else. 2 or 3 other ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, AJ, I've got a good deal for you.
What's that?
Hayesy wants to give you a referral code. What's the benefit, Hayesy? Pitch us.
Yeah. Pitch the idea.
We will. I mean, actually, no. Wait. I mean, yeah, you do what you want, but I've just said I don't know if they're going to go under or not.
Yeah, I've got an
not.
account. I've got an account with them. I made an account with them. I just didn't deposit any funds onto it yet. And that's sort of what I'm holding back on now. Do I deposit funds onto it or not? And right now, I'm probably gonna wait until it sort of blows over and see see what happens then.
Well, I mean, look, the CEO said it's business as usual, so I can't think of anything more trustworthy in the world. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously, look, concerns are growing. This is one of those, big things. Then one thing I actually really do like is this proof of reserves. This is something I think really should be brought into crypto. A lot of companies have to do it. They have financial statements and you can see how much money they have. But this is a very much like a Warren Buffett type way of investing. He goes, look, how much are you spending? How much are you making? Over the long period of time, what is your business going to do and can it grow, etc. And can you afford to kind of live for X amount of years if there's no cash? But obviously, we don't have that in crypto because nothing's regulated. So we're at the stage now where companies, just like Tether did for years, they said, "Oh yeah, we're fully, backed by." I think they did say cash and assets. And obviously, they had some really, really dodgy situations going on there. And so essentially, I think they're fine now. I'm not going to shoot any shots, but there are a number of videos of Tether pretty much not having enough money or not wanting to prove anything at all. So I do think proof of reserves is a really, really good idea. But yeah, the question is, if they do have to go through this proof of reserves, is that why they're sending massive amounts of 600 million from one company to another that they own and then losing 400 of it, like we see here? Is that because they're trying to do a proof of reserves, saying, oh, well, and then someone messes up and they go, Jesus, I've just lost
If
400
if
400
that
mil.
if that sort of regulation comes out, a lot of companies, a lot of exchanges are going to be exposed, and
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot more fail as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, this is it. So Marcelki said that the transfer to Gate.io was made accidentally and should have gone to a new cold wallet storage, addressing the shortfall in return of funds. He said the difference has now been sent back, and we have single digit USD million balance on Gate as of now. But so I mean, why are they spacing away from Gate? Are they worried about Gate? Or should we be worried about Gate? This is the whole point, like we just don't know exactly who or what to trust. But I'm going to move on now. I'm just going to bring in buy the dip. So buy the dip fever hits as miners sales slow. Have a look at this. This is crab addresses. So this is between 1 and 10 Bitcoin. We can see that the crab addresses, so the amount of addresses with at least 1 Bitcoin up to 10, has massively shot up as the price is declining. So this is a very, very good news. We've seen a lot of accumulation over here the past few months, which is actually a really, really good thing. And I think it's been spurred on, especially recently, where you can see things like this, where there has been these massive pumps in the addresses with Bitcoin, obviously this little orange one, and the price coming down. And then there's a final example that we have here. So Bitcoin miner reserves. So we can actually see that the mining reserve or the miner balance has now recently dropped. I don't know exactly why that is. Why has actually maybe it might say.
Well,
Because I'm just
I know
thinking,
that
like, why are they
I don't
selling?
think
Why
miners.
are they selling at this level?
I think miners have to sell right now because they are not. They're losing more than they're making, as I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, that's really good actually. Because I mean, look, if you think about it, if you're a miner, your energy prices have gone up because oil and gas is
Yeah.
super expensive, has been for the past few months, and then also your Bitcoin is worth less. So before, even if your energy bills went up, you'd still sell just 1 Bitcoin and you'd make 60 grand or you'd make 30 grand. Now you're only making what, 15 grand. So I think naturally they are going to have to sell more of their Bitcoin just to cover their own costs. And so that could be a big indicator as to why we're seeing, with the price of Bitcoin dropping off, they have to sell more of it. So their balance of Bitcoin will come down just because
I,
obviously they have to sell loads.
I saw a tweet on it. I wish I saved it now. I did see a tweet on it explaining exactly that. But yeah, they're not making any money at the moment, miners. So that's why they're selling. Basically,
Yeah, that really could. Yeah, it really could be.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly, before I finish off, I want to mention about the traditional markets just quickly. Generally things have been up, and then we'll touch on DXY and jump into technicals. But just on the comments, I presume Biden will intervene immediately to bail out FTX. Do you know what? Actually, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's a big risk if that's what you're relying on. But I think the question is, it's not in a regulated industry and it's not with sophisticated investors. So if you think about like the 2008 financial crisis, okay, the reason why I think there was such a big bailout was because who did they get in to advise what should the government do and where should the money be? And it was in BlackRock. So they got the head of BlackRock, Larry Fink, to come in, and he's BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world. They manage like $11 trillion. Just one company managing that much. Mental. Anyway, so they basically got him and they said, look, who should we bail out? What should we do? How much money should we provide? And so with all of that, he was like, let's do traditional financial stuff. And I imagine at the moment they're probably working with him again or someone similar. If you're someone like Larry Fink and you have the biggest traditional financial manager, asset management company in the world, do you really care about crypto? Because this is one thing, I think there's such a big disconnect. Most of the established people in the financial markets are, one, I'm going to make massive stereotypes, don't judge me, right? They're generally going to be an older guy or girl, but have been in traditional financial markets forever, have a lot of money, and probably don't like the disruption from crypto because it's going to steal away from their business. So if you're going to advise the government, are you going to say, hey, let's go bail out FTX, or hey, let's help these crypto boys, when actually, you're not going to be getting money from the crypto boys because they're never going to invest and get 10% a year. Because now we've been hooked up, and it's like trying to take cocaine away from someone and give them like a little bit of sugar. It's probably not going to work because they're like, well, I want that rush. So us crypto boys, will we invest in like a normal ETF and accept that we're going to get 8% a year? I think the answer is probably no. So they don't see good business in us. So I would argue that it's going to be a very tough one. I don't know if you guys agree. Drop a comment if you do agree. AJ, what's your thoughts? If the government were to step in, how likely would it be?
I don't think it's very likely at all. I still don't think. Well, the government doesn't like crypto, so I don't see why they would try and bail it out.
Yeah, and also like it's not regulated yet, is it? Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and so they can't pin anyone. I do like the way that the CFTC is going though. They're the commodities guys as opposed to the SEC, which are the security guys. And so yeah, I like the way that's going. But anyway, I mine Monero. The dad Don, he mines Monero. That's really good actually. I do think Monero is going to be one of these that kind of makes a comeback in the future. It's a real privacy coin, which is exactly what Bitcoin was before it became popular, and everyone started throwing their life savings into it.
Yeah. Monero is sort of just lost in the distance right now, I think. But yeah, I do think it could make a comeback, as you said.
Yeah, you are right. It is kind of lost in the distance, but it's on the edge. I mean, let's have a look at coin market cap. Monero is probably, I'm going to say like 20th. I could be completely wrong. I haven't checked in ages. But if you want to go on the dark web, no, I'm not going to finish that sentence. You might need to use Monero. That's one of the takeaways. But here we go. Okay, so my internet won't let me upload and download at the same time. Sweet. Maybe if I do this. 24. But yeah, so 24. So it's not that big. I do think it's a very niche market. Obviously going on the dark web, if you want to pay for stuff, you don't want to be tracked. And Monero is one of the best privacy coins. But I don't recommend you go on the dark web and buy anything illegal because that is not good. And we don't condone that type of stuff. I think I've covered us, AJ.
Yeah.
Probably not. Anyway, US futures wilt against Fed caution. So the futures are kind of wilting a little bit. And we are going to be looking at the Fed. Like I said, so the Fed have come out and they've essentially said, look, we hopefully CPI will be coming down, which it has, we saw last week. But at the end of the day, it's they're still going to have to be aggressive for a very long time. Big funds keep inflation hedges. This is one thing I mentioned earlier. Remember when I spoke about, I was on medium.com here. So when I spoke about, being short against Bitcoin, but also buying it at the same time, that is a classic hedge. So big funds are still hedging against or despite a hopeful CPI. Cryptocurrencies remain under pressure, which again is just like, negative news. You're absolutely correct, Bloomberg, but don't go telling all the proper investors with all the money that they shouldn't be investing in crypto. That's not good for us. But yeah, dollar turned higher after weekend comments from Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller that policymakers had a ways to go before ending interest rate hikes. And another thing, once they end the rate hikes, they're still going to be at crazy high levels. So it's not like, oh, we end the rate hikes and now there's no more, there's no more Fed fund rate. It's going to be at, let's say, 5%. It's going to stay there for a long, long time. So yeah, yields jumped, and obviously we then see the markets drop. So should we have a look at potentially the DXY first? AJ, is there anything you fancy? Or anyway, also you guys drop in the comments if there's a particular graph or chart you want us to have a look at.
Yeah, we can start off with the DXY. Just bringing up the DXY, I did mention, a few days ago, if we were going to break towards the downside of this major support, then we could see the DXY pull back. That is exactly what happened, and we continue to see that DXY pull back. And it came all the way down to around 106. I did expect, we could come down to 105.7 approximately, which is this next major support level here. That is still on the sort of on the target list there. We could still see that DXY pull back. Now, as I said at the start, we haven't really seen Bitcoin and the DXY continue its inverse correlation. They have sort of parted ways slightly because of everything that's going on fundamentally, with FTX and crypto.com now. We're going to continue to see the price pulling back if the crypto.com news is true, and if any other exchanges come out and potentially have the possibility of becoming bankrupt as well. So that's not going to be good. But yeah, for the next major support level on the DXY is around 105, this major support level here. As you can see, previous support there, previous support here, and then resistance before as well. So it's a very, very critical level. This was a very critical level here, support here after the breakup, resistance there. So we've broken that. Now the next level is around this $105 level. So I think, the DXY could still come to that. And then, if we can break this, then maybe we can start talking about that DXY potentially topping out at 114.7 approximately. Maybe we could have topped out there, but we will have to see. We sort of need to break these major support levels here. I would say at least 105 to start. Even considering that this was the top for the DXY, which in the longer run is going to actually be good for Bitcoin. I do think, when we start seeing this DXY pull back quite a lot, we are going to see Bitcoin finally push towards the upside, but we have to wait for all of the FUD at the moment to blow over, because there is still potentially more downside with these exchanges such as FTX and going bankrupt, and then crypto.com potentially running out of funds as well. So we do have to be aware of that. But yeah,
let's have a look at that, if you don't mind, AJ. Can you bring up not crypto.com, but CRO?
Yes, yeah, let's
Crowster.
I don't think I've got it saved on my list actually.
Yeah, I put something in the chat. We got asked for CRO. I did so. It took me a long time to get some really high quality analysis done. So I'm glad that Gover appreciates it, and the dad Dan appreciates it too. So just put the emoji, the downwards, the downward chart emoji. But see, we can see quite a heavy drop here. Like really, really heavy actually over the past couple of days. Are we on the daily chart or are we on the weekly chart?
Yeah, we're on the daily here. So it almost went to $1 all-time highs. Now we're at 0.07. And I'm sure that this drop has been
0.07.
Yeah. I'm sure this drop has been because of the FUD obviously around it. So
also, I mean, can we expand this slightly? Let's have a look at crypto exchange native coins. Okay, I just want to see if this is something that is expanding beyond that of crypto.com. So obviously people are worried about crypto.com, okay, in specific, but are there any particular coins? Let's have a look at BNB, for example. That's Binance Coin. I know we mentioned about them being potentially too big to fail, and they haven't been ludicrous with their advertising and and their spending, and they even mentioned that they have a fund of $1 billion as a client recovery fund or something like this. I can't remember what it was called. But are there any particular coins that you guys want to see based off other exchanges? Like any native coins? Gover's extremely bullish on BNB. I would actually agree with you. I think if you're starting a new project, I did see one thing though, that most projects on BNB have pretty much gone to zero. I think it's a very easy. Well, I know it's a very easy coin to set up a project. I've actually done one myself, and just more just for fun. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, if everyone's now throwing shade at every exchange apart from Binance, where are you going to move your funds? It's almost definitely going to be the likes of Binance, Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they, you know, pumped massively when they when FTX, all the FUD around FTX started, and when CZ said that he was going to actually bail out FTX, there was a massive pump there. But obviously, everyone's starting to take profit, and then you know, when he said that he wasn't going to buy FTX, you know, the prices pulled back then as well. But yeah. BNB, I do think, you know, BNB is gonna be very, very strong in the future. You know, potentially even over $1,000. So, you know, for the long term, I think BNB is actually a great buy.
Yeah, and also, if can you have a look at KuCoin just to show that? Because I believe so.
Yeah.
Just I think I remember it being it was down. It's overall in the past like month. I think it's down a lot, like 20%, 25. But over the past like day, I think I remember it pumped by quite a lot, like 20% or something.
Yeah, so that
KuCoin,
had a
because I think that was
that
a
that had a
sorry.
pretty big pullback here, and yeah, it's had a 48.85% move since
Damn.
Sunday. Oh, so since
Yeah.
yeah,
So
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 since
we are.
yesterday.
But that was yesterday.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So we are seeing, you know, like we are seeing a lot of volatility in these native coins. Can you do so? Can you have a look at GUSD? This is Gemini's. It's a stable coin, but I know that last week a couple of stable coins started to get a bit, you know, what's that? It's that video. It's like, oh, what's it? Um, that's sorry, I can't do it. But it's like, whoops, a bit Larry, bit oi.
no
I'll
data
quit.
here.
I'm gonna go home, guys. I've ruined it.
USD.
GUSD/USD, or you know, like the Gemini stablecoin against dollar. Is it okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
good,
still pegged at 0.9986.
good.
So that's okay.
Because I think these will be some of the early fracture marks that we need to look out for. Well, at least I will
Yeah,
be anyway. You know, so looking at an exchange, are we seeing lots of selling pressure of their native token? You know, because it's like people can't get, you know, you can't withdraw from FTX, but you can trade Tron's stablecoin, or you can trade Tron linked coins against assets on FTX. So you can't take your money out, but you can buy, you know, let's say Justin Sun's, I think it's JST, for example. You know, you can buy that quite easily. And hence why they were trading last weekend, or last week, sorry, at like a 1,200% premium, which is insane. Just so many people wanted to get their money off that they'll take pennies on the dollar just to get out of it because they think we're screwed.
yeah, yeah. Should we have a look at some Bitcoin TA?
Yeah, I think we should. I absolutely think
Yeah.
we should.
Okay. You know, as you know, if you've been following the channel, you know that we entered a trade here. I entered this trade on the live stream with you, and I also updated you over on Twitter with me actually entering this trade as well. You know, if you go through, you can see. You know, I'll give you plans. I'll give you, you know, pump it to 20,000, 20,300, then dump it. That's a plan. That's pretty much what happened. It went a little higher than expectation, but initially the staying plan was there. I put those buy orders in. You know, you saw me put them in on the live stream, and then I went live as soon as that trade was open. But that trade right now is currently in a 100% profit, $2,772 in a profit, and we've already taken a bit of profit from this trade. We're paying a lot in fees at the moment. It was around 380 realized profit, but now it's only 170. We have been paying a lot in fees, so hopefully we can get this last leg towards the downside soon. Before we pay any more in fees, but I'm still expecting another move towards the downside, which is why I've still got this trade open. It's 100% in a profit, 0.16 Bitcoin in a profit. It was in around 140, 130, 140% in a profit. Really, really nice trade this was. And as I said, you know, I explained, I was 100% transparent with you where I was entering this trade. And, you know, You can see the proof is in the pudding here. My analysis has been pretty on point recently. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe and smash a like button and smash that like button if you want me to continue bringing trades like this. But yeah, but before the weekends, so Friday, I think it was, I went live and I told you the levels that I was looking at. One of the levels that I was speaking about was this golden pocket right here at approximately $17,500. I said this is probably going to act as a bit of resistance and we could see a rejection from this, but it wasn't a strong enough level for me to enter or add to a short to that short position, because what I like to look for is confluence, and this was only one indicator telling me that we could find some resistance here. But initially we did see that resistance there, and we did see the price pull back to $15,800 approximately, and then this morning we have had a little push towards the upside. But what I'm actually looking at for Bitcoin right now is some sort of bear pendant, triangle pattern, bear pendant, whatever you want to call it. So we've got resistance up here, the test of the resistance here, coming close to the resistance here, and then we have the support here as well. So this is the next pattern that I'm sort of looking at, and whether we are going to get a break towards the upside or the downside sort of is the decider on what I do with this trade. If we break towards the upside, then maybe I'm going to start, taking profit off of this trade and closing this short position. But if we do break towards the downside, then I think I could potentially actually add to this trade that I do have open. So that's what I'm waiting for. The price isn't doing much. As I said, the weekend has been a very, very, very boring weekend. Most of the weekends nowadays are very boring, as there's loads of institutions in the space now. But yeah, I'm expecting another leg towards the downside still. Reason being is because if we bring up the weekly chart, as you can see here, we have broken a major level of support right there. As we can see, we got that break towards the downside, the weekly break towards the downside. There's been major support here, major support here, major resistance here, and it was the 2017 all-time high as well. So this was a very, very critical level that we needed to hold. But now that we've broken below it, I think 14,000 is that next target. Now, yes, we could have a push towards the upside, retest this previous support as resistance, and then see the price pull back. I think that's a possibility. Or we could just see the price come straight down to 14,000. A break of 14,000, then I would expect 12,000, then 10,000 to be those next targets. But the first target I would have would be 14,000. That is a very strong weekly level, major support there and major resistance there as well. So been very well respected on the likes of the weekly chart. But yeah, this is what I'm looking at. Potentially a retest back up to maybe 19,500 potentially, and then we see the price pull back. But initially, breaking below this major level on the weekly, it is not good at all. The last time we did this, we broke a major level was right here, and the price came straight down to the next major level, which, as I said, that previous 2017 all-time high. And this is what we tend to see on the weekly. A rejection from a major level or support at a major level. What happens, or a break of a major level, we tend to go to the next major level. So, for example, here, a bounce off major support, we've gone straight up to the next major level. A rejection from this major level, we've come straight down to the previous major level. So that's what I'm sort of looking at, and that's why I do still think 12,000 is on the table, still on the table. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. I predicted this a long time ago as well. So we had the descending triangle here. We broke towards the upside. Yes, that was bullish, but what I was telling you is if we cannot get that big spike in volume, there's no chance this push towards the upside can continue. That's exactly what happens. Exactly what I said. The price was most likely going to roll over, come down to support, and potentially break support. That's exactly what happens. And then we got that massive selling volume coming in. But right now, the chart I'm looking at is this 4-hour chart, because we do have this slight bear pendant forming. So yeah, I'm going to see whether this breaks towards the upside or to the downside. If it breaks towards the downside, then that next leg to 14,000, maybe even 12,000 is coming. But a break towards the upside, then we can start looking at the prices coming up to the next resistance levels. If they break that, then the next level can be hit. But yeah, I'm keeping this trade open for now. I'm keeping this trade open, and of course, if I have any any new trades to bring to you, you will be the first people to hear about them. So yeah, make sure if you are new to the channel, subscribe and turn that bell notification on, and of course smash the like button because it lets me know that you want to see more trades like this one right here. So yeah, smash that like button.
Yeah, and we really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Before we do go, drop any questions that you do have. I'm more than happy to obviously go, answer anything in particular. But overall, guys, just to kind of recap here, crypto.com, we're kind of worried, especially when, the CEO has to come out and say, everything's fine, everything's fine. When like you're a kid and like, I don't know if you have any siblings, but I had two brothers. And if I got into a fight with one of them, if ever you hurt your brother or whatever, or like in my case, I'd be like maybe hurt my brother of like play fighting. And then your mum's like, what's going on? No, we're fine, we're fine. You know what I mean? Like the person who reassures you that everything's fine, you get a bit suspicious. So there's that. We do have the Fed minutes coming out as well, and we'll see how the general market reacts. I do think, like I said earlier, it's a very much off topic, but we do have earnings season coming up, and obviously earnings season is going to give us an indicator as to exactly how rich or poor, or some of the spending habits that we see in the middle and lower classes, which is, to be honest, unfortunately, it's the large proportion of the population in the US. So Jerome Powell is going to be looking at these, and he's going to want to see that less people are spending money, especially on the likes of discretionary stuff, like buying a new computer, things that you don't necessarily need, or even like Sonos, for example, like buying a new speaker for your house. That's a discretionary expense. So through these, we'll get a rough idea as to consumer spending. And I think that will kind of steer Jerome Powell in one way or another. So we'll get an idea whether we can actually start getting excited again or not.
Yeah, definitely. But still got to be cautious about potentially, more exchanges becoming bankrupt and money problems. So that's obviously going to be a catalyst to push the price down as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're going to be in some massive trouble if we begin to see some other exchanges. So FTX, goodbye, salam alaikum, maybe next time. And then, looking at obviously KuCoin, I think is probably maybe KuCoin, Gemini. Those are going to be the next ones that I look out for, and I might, put on some alerts and see if there is any news that come out. But yeah, I'm kind of worried about those. And obviously BlockFi is also done. Well, maybe not done completely, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I believe that's all. Correct?
Yeah, that's everything from me. Of course, if there's any trades that I will take, of course, you're going to be the first people to know about it. I will bring it straight to you. My goal here is to be 100% transparent with all my trades, and that's what I've been doing recently. So,
quick question though. Just did see Swissborg. Don't you use Swissborg, Mister?
I do. Yeah, I do like Swissborg as an app. I use that sometimes to withdraw from certain exchange from a certain exchange. But yeah, I do use Swissborg.
I would say overall they're relatively, they're not only invested in crypto assets, they're quite I mean, I don't know, from what I've heard anyway, they're diversified enough and also not doing crazy, like advertising and stuff like this. I haven't heard too many rumors of them being in trouble.
No. I mean, I don't
yet.
hold anything. I don't hold anything on there. I just use that as sort of a means to access my bank account from my crypto wallets.
Yeah. And so I've just gone onto their website. They say total user crypto asset value 610 million. So realistically, they're not so big that you're at a stage where, like a bank run would totally crunch them, It's not like they got really big and then decided, hey, we can't ever fail. We can afford to use loads of leverage. I imagine because they are slightly smaller, that they're still being relatively sensible with their money. you know, and I think that was part of the problem with FTX. They got a bit too big, a bit too excited. And then as a result, you know, they thought, well, we can't fail. So it's okay to now give $10 billion over to Alameda Research, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah, definitely.
I could be wrong. Anyway, there you go. Thank you very much for joining, guys. Hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Don't forget to like the video. Really helps us out. And also, it's free. We all like free stuff, don't we? So make sure that you do go and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you're back tomorrow at a similar time.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We will see you later.